Aaron, you call Vestwell the backbone of America's new savings economy. What exactly is America's new savings economy?
We all know this population in this country is underserved and underbanked, and we have to fill that gap. And the savings programs that were put in place over the last 50 years were built for large corporate America, but that doesn't reflect today's workforce in a modern era, and we're reshaping that dynamic.
And you said that there's about 60 million workers caught in Americans' savings crisis. Can you dig a little bit deeper on that, and how dire is this crisis?
Right. So if you look at the population, the working population today, that 60 million people is about half of the population is not engaged in the savings conversation. Right. So going back to the world in which the savings programs were designed for, large corporate America, Fidelity, they've done a fantastic job in putting these in place. But when you think about transient workers, gig economies, those workers are left out of the savings conversation. And you think about, you play this out a few years, that gap for when people can retire, when they can save for those meaningful aspects of life continues to widen. And then we fall into a severe crisis economically across the country.
All right, that's the crisis. So what is Vestwell doing to make things better? You recently signed deals with Amazon and I think Sanderson Farms. So how are these deals representative of the way Vestwell is helping ameliorate the crisis in America?
Yeah, great question. So if you think about that workforce, right, you think about an Amazon delivery service partner, or you think about a farmer across the country, the savings infrastructures, the programs that were put in place were not built for them. So we're reshaping that dynamic, creating access, creating education, creating ease of engagement across that workforce. We have thousands of farms across this country, and all those workers, the dynamics by which we have to engage with those individuals to help them, just as we help corporate America, is the same, but you cannot do it in the legacy infrastructure that was put in place prior to Vestwell.
Is it all about retirement? Are you doing other things for them as well, for these employees?
Yeah, it's not just about retirement, right? We think about, the end state is retirement in our lives, but you think about how do you save for education, right? If you have student loans, how do you pay down those student loans? How do you think about emergencies? How do you think about healthcare needs, disability needs? We're powering all of those programs across the country to really meet people where they are and help them through that savings journey. So ultimately, they can reach that retirement goal if they have that at the end of their working years.
And then finally, can you talk about your path to becoming the CEO of Vestwell, because you were going to become an athlete or on the road to maybe being a professional athlete, and it veered off, and now you're taking care of America's retirement crisis?
Yeah, I don't think I had the skill set to be a professional athlete, but I did have the skill set to be an athlete at a level that would pay for school. I grew up, lower middle class working family in the south side of Chicago. So I didn't have a 529 college savings program, right? I didn't have any financial backbone that would allow me to put myself through college. So I looked at college really as playing sports as my ticket to college. Blew out my knee, lost my scholarship, ended up at a point where I said, I need to go to college. I had determined myself that I wanted to do this, but how was I going to pay for it? So I took on a lot of serious debt in doing so, but I was very intentful on how I was going to work to pay those off. But not everyone is afforded those opportunities, right? It takes a lot of work, a lot of time and energy to try to think through the strategy to make that happen. But ultimately, that kind of showed me the fragility that we have in our financial lives. And that's what led me to say, hey, I have to go solve this problem from the inside and think about how can people engage, create access, the cost of saving, the ease, the education around it.
All right. Well, thanks for coming on and talking about it.
Thank you. Appreciate you having me.